Have you ever had your day start with your smartphone perhaps as an alarm and you've reached over and hit the snooze button? And perhaps you've hit it one too many times. So you've had to really rush and skip on the bathroom pampering, and maybe you've missed breakfast. Your first meeting runs over time, and so you miss lunch. Maybe you grab a few more cups of coffee, and the first time you get a chance to sit and relax, you realize it's almost 3 in the afternoon and you've had nothing to eat all day. Maybe you've grabbed a handful of biscuits in between quite a few cups of coffee. So by the time you fight traffic and get home, you are just so famished that you end up eating much more than what you need just before going off to bed. Sound familiar?
Far too familiar. In fact, I've coached a guy like that. And he's a really successful guy. He's also a supreme athlete. So his activation is really great. His fueling part of his day is not good. You perfectly described his day. So what I tend to see is in the afternoon is he's ratty, he's irritable, he's challenging people, he's really not thinking that clearly. And I say to him, what have you eaten during the day? And he says, well, I've kind of had this high sugar snack and that high sugar snack. So that mindless munching at his desk is the way he copes through his day. So Celine, what would you offer as a solution in terms of how could he orientate himself differently?
Well, what's happened in his case, Joni, is that he started off his day on the wrong footing by perhaps skipping breakfast and then not snacking correctly. So his blood glucose levels have just roller coasted the whole day. They've plummeted, or they've spiked when he's had coffee and that handful of biscuits and when he's grabbed that high sugar snack in the afternoon. And if him and if you eating your biggest meal late at night, what happens is that your blood sugar, your blood glucose, which is your petrol, it's your fuel, stays elevated for hours. So what we know about managing our performance, our engagement, our energy and resilience, the key is to manage our petrol, which is our blood glucose, to try and keep those levels as stable as possible in what we call the performance zone. Because when our levels dip too much, we tend to get irritable, we get really hungry, we start craving the wrong type of stuff. Your prefrontal cortex, which Joni speaks a lot about, doesn't work as effectively. And if your blood sugar goes too high, it then causes a surge of insulin and it worsens the stress response. So that combination of cortisol and insulin and high blood sugar is just a recipe for disaster. You end up predisposing yourself to diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and you put on weight really easily.
Actually, this is exactly my mate. Because he keeps on saying, gee, Joni, I can run 10, 15 Ks every morning. How come I've got this pot belly? And he operates with woman vitality through the day. So it's not as though he's a kind of sit behind your desk and a lethargic guy. He's got a lot of energy, seemingly, but I think he starves himself during the day and then has that massive meal you're talking about at night.
That's probably exactly what's happening. So Joni, for him, what I would suggest is perhaps if he takes a look at fueling as a point, he could be a little bit more strategic around the way that he fuels himself.
Right.
So what that would look like is that getting up in the morning, ideally within 2 hours of waking, he would have a balanced breakfast, and then every 2 or 3 hours to make sure that he has a strategic snack, and I'll mention what that is in a moment. The reason why you want to have a snack well-timed every 2 or 3 hours is for many of us, we're on the run. That means we don't have or make the time to eat balanced meals. So if our environment is set up for success and every 2 or 3 hours we have a strategic snack, you can actually help to sustain your blood sugar or your blood glucose, which is your petrol. That means that you can actually maintain your energy levels. So at 6 p.m. you have similar energy levels to what you would have at 6 a.m. How's that for a quick win?
Okay, so that's really looking at our 3 points of FAB. If you want to operate at your best with an active mind, behave in terms of where you get the best out of other people, it's the snacking solution.
Absolutely.
The F point in FAB.
But then we don't want you to go off and have a chocolate bar or a packet of crisps every 2 or 3 hours. So a strategic snack needs to meet a few criteria. And in the book, in the section, we tell you exactly how to choose a smart snack. So one of the things you'd look for is assortment and real food, and it's got to be well-timed, and it's got to be not too large a portion. You've got to make sure that when you're snacking, you're not overdoing it. As Joni mentioned, your friend that mindlessly munches at his desk. And then there's other strategies that can help make this practical. So if you set your environment up for success, so once a month, make sure that you've got the right snacks where you're at. For me, that means in my car, spend a lot of time in my car. I know Joni always carries snacks around in her handbag, briefcase, laptop bag, in your desk drawer, so that afternoon, when meetings run over time, or when you're caught up in traffic, or when you're feeling a little bit more hungry than usual, instead of having to rely on the vending machine, which generally doesn't have great choices, you can go make a smart strategic choice and make sure that you're snacking for stamina. So make sure that you take a look at the ideas in the book. We've also got some really funky recipes.
Those are great.
So what? Now what? Snacking for stamina is about choosing strategic, smart snacks. And if you're being strategic, you're planning something and you're timing it. So your snacks need to be planned and well timed. A great example of somebody that I worked with, he was quite a difficult engineer who didn't think that he could change much in terms of his eating. And basically, the compromise we came to is rather than change what he ate at night, even though he was eating an unhealthy meal, we added in a late afternoon snack. So that snack was well timed and quite strategic in terms of planning, so that when he left the office and had a long commute back home, he could then make a smart choice. What happened was when he walked through the front door, he was no longer as famished. So even though he was eating a reasonably unhealthy meal, he ate less of it because he had added in the snack. And he lost quite a bit of weight and was quite impressed and ended up feeling a whole lot better for it. So having smart snacks close at hand in your environment will help tremendously. Take a look at the section in the book. We also give you a guide around the kilojoule content, so the portion of how a smart snack should be. A smart snack should be between 500 and 750 kilojoules. And there are quite a few practical examples of what this looks like in the section in the book. There are also quite a few delicious and easy to make skinny dip ideas. Take a look at those and let us know which ones you try and what you think.